Esiet sveicināti raidījuma ciklā Uzzini, pirms dodies, droša darba ceļvedis Eiropā. Mani sauc Andris Segliņš, esmu Nodarbinātības valsts aģentūras Eiropas darba mobilitātes konsultants un šī raidījuma cikla vadītājs. Raidījumā mēs apskatām jautājumus, kurus ir būtiski uzzināt pirms došanās uz ārvalstīm, kā piemēram darba meklēšana, darba iespējas, darba līguma slēgšana un citas praktiskas lietas. Katrs raidījums ir veltīts vienai valstī, un šodien mēs runāsim par Dāniju. Uz raidījumu esmu aicinājis Dānijas Nodarbinātības dienesta Eiropas darba konsultantu Matjasu Forsborgu. Hello, Matjas.
Hello, Anders.
Let's start our conversation about overview of labor market in Denmark. And Denmark has been a quite popular destination for Latvians. And could you provide an overview of the current labor market situation, which industries are experiencing growing and offering job opportunities, and maybe they are also any sector where demand for labor has declined?
Yes, of course, and yes, Denmark is a country where some people from Latvia also are living, and we really enjoy it. We have currently an unemployment rate at about 2.9%, so it's pretty low. And we have big demands in sectors like construction and engineering in general, pharmaceutical, manufacturing, research and development, and also in IT and robotics. So basically all sectors could use some more people, you could say. So yeah, the job market in Denmark is pretty open right now, and good people are always welcome in Denmark, you could say.
Yes, we see that there are quite wide opportunities in many sectors for successful job search. What about seasonal jobs? Seasonal jobs, particularly in agriculture, have traditionally attracted workers, and what is the current state of seasonal employment in Denmark?
Yeah, about that, seasonal work in the agricultural sector is also an opportunity. And we know people from Latvia and the Baltic countries and in general are willing to do that in Denmark, and we appreciate the work, and and the labor is in demand also. So yeah, that makes sense. And in our field, to be honest, I'm not an expert on that area because we don't really work with the agricultural sector and at my department here and work in Denmark. So it's difficult for me to say, yeah, there is jobs, because actually we are not in that area. But I know the jobs are there, but of course you have to maybe find them on your own, because we are not allowed to right now to talk about that kind of jobs in Denmark, because there are some regulations on that field. But of course the seasonal jobs are also in demand in the agriculture sector. It's big, but also in the hotel and restaurant sector, you could find jobs for seasonal workers also. So that could work for Latvian people also.
Then let's move to job search and resources. What are the best strategies and resources to finding jobs in Denmark? And are there specific websites, recruitment agencies, or government programs you would recommend?
Yeah. Yes, of course. Our job here at work in Denmark is to help people find a job in Denmark from foreign countries. So of course we have our own website, workindenmark.dk, and I'll also be sharing this website with you. Workindenmark.dk has around 4,000 jobs where you don't have to speak Danish. You can speak English in those jobs. So that would be the main site in Denmark to find everything you need to know, actually, not just a job, but also maybe we can talk about that later, but also about the registration and how to enter Denmark and how to live and work in Denmark in general. That's the website to go to, you could say. Yeah. So workindenmark.dk is the one I would say is the main site for all foreign workers.
Then this your website is, we can say it's a central place to start and also to find information regarding job and then working conditions also in Denmark, and your recommendations, I think, and tips for successful finding a job.
Yeah.
One more question regarding job search. How important are social networks in the job search process in Denmark?
Social networks like LinkedIn or Facebook and so on.
Yeah.
And that depends on the sector, I think, because if you are, for example, in the agriculture sector, maybe Facebook would work because there are a lot of groups you could join. But if it's like IT and robots and so on, LinkedIn could work. So of course, in Denmark, it's quite often that people find a job through the social networks. So if you are willing to do it, I would say do it. Be available on social networks and be active and show who you are on the social networks, because a lot of recruiters in Denmark actually look at those profiles. So yeah, that could also be a way in to finding a job in Denmark. The social networks, yes, exactly.
You can say it depends on sector and qualification of potential candidate.
It really does, because in some sectors, some sectors are not that big in social medias. They are more like the old school, you could say, where you have a piece of paper and you hand it over. So of course it depends, but in general, you could say the social networks work in Denmark.
Yes. Regarding languages, you already mentioned that on your website there are published vacancies where you can work also in if you know English. But how essential is to know Danish? And are there some specific sectors where knowledge of Danish is a must?
Not that essential, actually. No. Almost everybody in Denmark speaks English, actually, besides they speak Danish, of course, but 86% of the Danish population actually speaks and understands English. So it should not be a big problem if you speak English. But of course, in some sectors, you have to speak Danish, in the healthcare sector and so on. But in general, English works fine, and also you can have a social life without learning Danish, because we recommended that you learn Danish, and we will help you when you are entering Denmark. Most courses in Denmark are free, and the municipalities will help you. Sometimes even the companies you are hired in will also help you gain those competences in Danish. So of course it's not a big issue for start, but once you are in Denmark, I think it's nice for everybody that you learn it, also for yourself, because your social life will be easier, and your job will be easier. Everything just is easier when you can understand the signs on the road and so on. So yeah, but it's not like you have to learn the Danish. It's not like that. And as I said before, we have about 4,000 jobs where you don't have to speak Danish. So we are an international country, you could say. With I think it's really big percentage of the Danish population, about 15% of the Danish population that is not born in Denmark. So we are international people, and almost everybody speaks English. So yeah, it's not a big issue.
That's good information. But of course, if you would like to successfully integrate and be more Danish, then of course Danish language should be learned, especially if you plan to stay a long time or move permanently to Denmark. Then of course it's a good thing if you start to learn also Danish, I think.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the English language and then of course Danish, but is there also some another language which could be useful for job search, maybe in some specific sectors?
Yeah, in the German, actually, I don't know if a lot of Latvian people speaks German. Some does maybe, because it is also a lot of people in Denmark speaks German. So, and especially if you're in the construction sector, you could, or engineering also. German is also a very known language for a lot of Danish people. I don't speak it myself, but I know some of my colleagues does, and yeah, of course, it's also a generational thing, I think, because people that are older than me, they also speaks German, but I don't. So it's about that generational thing, but a lot of people in Denmark speaks German. I don't know the percentage, but it is quite high.
Yes, in Latvia we have quite a similar situation. At first, foreign language is English, but we have even school, also in schools where where there is opportunity to learn also German language, and people use that. It's also I can say second foreign language in Latvia. That's also a good opportunity for successful job search in Denmark. Let's move to application process. What are the typical practices for applying for a job in Denmark, and should candidates submit their applications and CV via email, through online platforms, or in person? What is your recommendations?
Yeah, I recommend that the job seeker applies for the job like it says in the application. It always says how to apply for the job. So if it's stated that you have to send an email, then you do that, or you follow the instructions. Actually, I haven't in Denmark. We always tell you how to apply for the job. So, and if nothing is written down, I really doubt that you will find an example of that. But if nothing is written down, then I suppose you just send an email, of course. And sometimes even sometimes they don't even search for only for the CV. They don't need a long text about you. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they can only they only look for the CV and maybe some motivation letter, but a small one or something like that. It really depends on the company and how they structure their application process. So yes, for answer your question, it's about look at the application. What are they looking for? How to apply? It always it says in the application.
Yes, and then you mentioned also preparation of CV. What are your key recommendations for tailoring CV for a Danish job market?
Yeah, of course. Again, you have to look at the job application. Is something written down? Maybe sometimes they say we don't need we don't need a motivational letter. We only need your CV. Then you only send your CV, of course. But about the good CV, you could say if you have the relevant information and so on, you can have more than one page, but you don't have to have more than one page. It's only necessary if you actually have some relevant information to show the employer. Otherwise, I recommend one page, and of course include your academic work and your results if you have any of those. And the photo is not necessary unless it is stated that it's necessary. It's very often that it's not necessary. So for start, don't use the photo. And of course, you have to also design your resume to the job, make it relevant to the job, and not just send the same CV again and again, because you have to look at what are the competences needed, what are the skills they are looking for, and then adjust your CV to that application. So yeah, but everything you need to know about things like that is also stated on workindenmark.dk, which we will send you the links. But yeah, look at what they are looking for, see what it says in the application, and then do the instructions, like I said. And then the CV can be more than one page, but it doesn't have to. Yeah, that would be my main advice.
And one additional question, is the Europa CV format widely used and accepted?
Yeah, we sometimes see those at the in the US portal, but in Denmark we don't use that US what's it called, US pass. We don't use that in Denmark actually. So
Okay.
So you don't have to use that US pass in Denmark because the companies don't know it. So
let's go to employment contract. If a job application is successful, then what registration procedures must candidates complete upon arriving in Denmark? And then we will talk about the employment contract here part. At first, what registration procedures must complete when you arrive in Denmark? This main.
yeah. All right, and we have like 3 steps, you could say. Step 1 is obtain the EU residence document, if you are a citizen of an EU country, of course. And step 2 is finding a permanent address. And step 3 is show up at the International Citizen Center in Denmark. We have 6 of those different places in Denmark where you actually have to show up, and 6 is a lot in Denmark because we are a small country, so there's not that far between them. You have to show up and you have to get your apply for the mandatory registration number, and then you get a little card, and they will help you proceed in the process. So that's like the 3 steps. But again, everything you need to know about that one is also stated on the website, and we will show you directly to that site where it is, because all those registration procedures and so on is it's not that complicated, but you have to do it in a certain way so that it doesn't take that long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, and then about employment contract. What are the legal forms of employment contract in Denmark? Written or maybe mutual?
Yeah. Also, again, and much more information about this at the workindenmark.dk. But as a quick information from me here, and now it's getting a bit more complicated here in Denmark, but because we are regulated by collective agreements, most companies are. Some companies are not a part of that, and so they have their own rules, you could say. So you have to negotiate everything yourself. But most companies are regulated by collective agreements, and which controls the working conditions and the salary, everything on behalf of the employees, so that you don't have to negotiate yourself. Of course, you can do it, but they are already negotiated for you. So, and also there's working hours is mostly between 37 hours a week, and you have about 5 to 6 weeks paid vacation. You have a maternity and paternity leave also, which means that if you're a mom and you have a child, you have the maternity leave in Denmark for about a year or something, and also a paternity leave where if you are a father and you have you will be accepted to leave the job and also get your pay. You could actually get paid to stay at home for, I think it's 11 weeks. So yeah, we have some welfare in Denmark. The welfare system is big, and of course, yeah, there's something about those tax rules also. That's a bit complicated, but again, the international center will also help you with that, and the municipalities and so on. So it is a bit complicated once you get to those registrations parts, but we are here to help you, and and everything will work out because we do it all the time. But of course, you cannot say there's one contract and then that's it, because each company and each employer has its own rules or maybe regulations. So yeah.
And as I understand, then also regarding the salary, you don't have a national minimum wage, and it's also salary is regulated usually by collective agreements, and it's important to know in which sector you will be working, and then of course trade unions or employer will describe the system and how the salary will be paid.
Yeah, exactly. We have, like I say, trade unions, and if you enter the a sector, there's no minimum wage regulated by law, but the trade unions and the collective agreements have a minimum wage, you could say. So there is some information you can see beforehand you get to Denmark, so that you don't enter Denmark and not knowing what your salary is and so on. And of course, there's a lot of control with the companies. We have both private and also the government are on the employees side. So yeah.
Yes, then go further, and if someone are moving to Denmark for work, then of course also important issue is housing. And what is your recommendations for finding housing?
Yeah, my recommendation is start early, because it can be tricky, of course, depending on where you want to live. If you want to live in Copenhagen, most people do. But if you want to live in Copenhagen, it can be tricky because it is quite expensive. Also for us Danes, it is quite expensive if we want to live in Copenhagen, even though we grew up here. If you want to live in the three big cities, you could say there is a big difference. In Copenhagen, the rent is about 1,600 euros a month. And in Aarhus, the second largest city, is around 1,200 euros. And in Uzzini, where I live, actually, it's around 1,000 euros a month. That's for renting an apartment for 2 or 3 people, 4 people maybe. So yeah, it is quite expensive, but of course, it's all regulated so that the salary is also a bit higher, because we have to be able to pay rent, of course. But yeah, start early in your housing search. And again, we have information on how to find accommodation on the website also. Like we said, it's workindenmark.dk is the center for everything there is to know for foreign workers.
Could you share also some examples of some average living costs?
Yeah, of course, it's difficult to say because that depends on how much you go out on restaurants or nightclubs and so on. But of course, if you have a normal life, like maybe like me, I live with my wife and my little child. We are 3 people, and we spend around 300, 400 euros a month on food and groceries and diapers and so on. So yeah, just to give you an example, that is the average. I think we don't live like kings, but we make it work for around, yeah. So I think it's between 300 or 500 euros a month. That would be my guess. But again, it's difficult for me to say how people live their lives. But it is quite expensive. But of course, the salary again is regulated so that you can have a living.
Thank you. I think it's useful and practical information also. And at the end of our conversation, I would like to ask, why should someone consider Denmark as a work destination, and what are main benefits of living and working there?
Yes, of course. The main thing I would say, and that's the thing that we are most proud about, I think, and also the thing I love the most is our welfare system in Denmark. It benefits my own future and your own future if you want to live in Denmark, and for your kids also, your family. You have the free healthcare and the free education. The system in Denmark it's great, and the government really takes care of you, even though we pay our taxes and it's quite high, of course. But again, the salary is regulated so that you can still earn a living, and you can save up, you can invest your money still, and you can buy a house and so on. And you work you don't work yourself too tired. You have a lot of vacation. The work-life balance is great. The weather, I think, is the same as in Latvia, maybe. So that's not the big difference there. Around, like I said earlier, everybody speaks English. Around 15% of the Danish population is not born in Denmark, so we are an international country. And also we have around 400 jobs right now for international job seekers, where you don't have to learn Danish, even though it could be an advantage. But we have those 400 jobs right now, or 4,000 jobs, sorry, just waiting for European job seekers to apply. So, but yeah, the main thing is our welfare system, and it's just and also quite beautiful country. You can see behind me. That's Uzzini, where I live. Beautiful.
I say thank you for conversation and useful information. Thank you, Matijas.
Thank you.
Paldies arī mūsu skatītājiem, kuri pievienojās, un ja jums ir radušies jautājumi, papildus jautājumi par darbu un dzīvošanas nosacījumiem, kā arī sociāliem vai sociālām aizsardzības sistēma Eiropas valstīs vai starpvalstu nodokļu jautājumi, tad aicinu sazināties ar mūsu Nodarbinātības valsts aģentūras EURES konsultantiem, kur jums tad sniegs šo informāciju. Un vēlreiz paldies visiem, ka piedalījāties, un uz tikšanos nākošos raidījumos.